The barbell deadlift is one of the best exercises when it comes to increasing strength, developing more muscle, and building a more desirable physique and future health profile. Unfortunately, so many individuals are petrified of deadlifting as they're worried about the potential risk of injury to their lower back. And although a rational fear to have, it's pretty much unwarranted simply because the individuals that tend to get injured doing deadlifts don't get injured because of the exercise itself, but rather because they lift with poor form. Just as much, driving a car is generally safe until you drive it into a wall. Now, knowing as much, we can't demonize an exercise simply because most people do it wrong and say that it's a bad exercise. The exercise itself is fine, it's the execution thereof. So in today's video, what we're going to do is go over 5 very basic setup cues that if you can remember, you can adhere to, and you can employ every time you execute the deadlift. Your deadlifts will not only be executed with more confidence on your end, but they will also be much safer overall, mitigating your potential risk of injury as a byproduct of this exercise. The first of 5 steps for setting up for a successful deadlift is to position your feet about shoulder width apart and approximately 1 inch from the bar. It might prove useful to pay attention to the shoes or socks that you're currently wearing in order to landmark exactly where the bar should be so that you can execute the lift with a higher degree of consistency relative to your setup position. With the bar approximately 1 inch from the shins, it allows a position in which the bar can travel in a relatively straight line from the ground to the top of the lift and back down to the ground during the execution of each rep during the training session. What's next on the list is getting down to the bar in a position that's optimal and mitigates risk of injury. The simplest way to get to that position is to lean forward at the hips without dropping your hips down and grabbing the bar just on the outside of your legs. For most people, that's going to be right on the edge of the knurling, which is where the rough part of the bar meets the smooth part of the bar in the middle. It should look just like so. As you'll see, I did not lower my hips in order to grab the bar. And yes, my form looks like it's about to be horrific right now, but in the next couple of steps, you'll see how that changes. What's most important when reaching down to grab the bar, as well as the current step I'm about to show you, is that at no point should you be moving the bar itself, but rather moving to the bar yourself. This is important because if you move the bar, then you mess up your positioning. But if you move to the bar, then you're setting up optimally. So, from this position where your hips are still where they started, you are going to drop your shins to the bar like so. Seeing as you set up approximately 1 inch from the bar, you should be in a relatively good position now. The next step in the setup process is to squeeze your chest up, as it will help straighten out your back and set your spine in extension. You'll see from this angle how squeezing my chest up sets the back in a stronger position. And the final step in the deadlift process, once you've completed the previous few cues, is to lift the bar by dragging it straight up the legs on the way up and keeping it against the legs on the way down. That's a simple 5-step, 5-cue process to set up optimally for the barbell deadlift and mitigate your risk of injury during the execution of the lift.